if you could figure out what it is that takes you to that 20 minutes of your life, everything would change. You would see your future lives, you would see your own Buddhahood, you would see the Buddha himself, herself. Everything would change. Everything would be finished for you, really. Everything you ever dreamed of would be over with, in a sense. You know, you would know everything that was to come. And there wouldn't be anything else after that. And the question is, can you get there in this life? You know, can you make it happen in this life? You know, classes are important, but you have to find the right mix of things that will make it happen. You have to decide and learn the exact recipe to get to that experience. So I'm going to describe the experience today, and then tomorrow we'll talk more about how to make it happen, okay? So meditate on that for a few minutes. It's a lousy time of day. I'm like already asleep, you know? And let's just do a real short one, okay? Like 5 minutes. And just try to imagine that you could see emptiness directly in this life, okay? And try to get ready for what's to come, okay? Buki Jushi Medota Mirabling Shi Ninde Yambali Sangye Shinu Mede Uagi Dokunanda Shinha Jeba Sho Idam Guru Mandala Kanya Ichadan Sogi Chonamla Shanshu Padu Dani Kapsuji Daki Chushegi Pesanangi Nola Penchen Sangye Dubasho Sangye Chadan Sogi Chonamla Chanchu Badu Dani Kapsuchi Daki Chushegi Pesanangi Dola Penche Sangye Dubasho Sangye Chadan Sogi Chonamla Chanchu Badu Dani Kapsuchi Dagi Cheshegi Pesanamgi Dola Penche Sangye Dubasho. Okay, this class asks you not to interrupt, okay? Don't ask questions in this one class, okay? We'll have question and answer tonight if you like, okay? Be 7 o'clock? Okay. So I always do it like that. This is your mind stream, okay? And it would go off the board. It's infinite, okay? The mind doesn't have any beginning. Your mind has always been here. And in fact, your mind will always be here. Even after you get enlightened, your mind doesn't stop. It goes on forever. Okay? It never stops. And it's either in one mode or another. There's only 2 modes it can be in, basically. And we call that Sosokyo. And Papa. Say soso kyewo. Soso kyewo. Soso kyewo means a person who has not seen emptiness directly. Okay, soso means so-so. A normal person. We call a normal suffering person. Okay. How long is it going to take them to become a Buddha? When will their suffering be over? When will they stop going through lives like this? You know, being a bright young person, then getting to be a bright, not so bright middle-aged person, and then getting to be a dumb old person, and losing your eyes and your ears and your ability to think clearly, and dying, losing all your energy. How long will they have to keep doing that? We can't say. You know, it'll be a long time. It'll be a long, long time. Okay. Pakpa is different. Say Pakpa. Pakpa. Pakpa means Arya. Arya means higher person. Okay. And what it means is someone who has seen emptiness directly. And then the whole thing changes. You are either one or the other. I like to say it's like virginity in this life, you know? You lose it once. You know, you're either one side or the other side. And you really are. And there's one event that changes you, and you're either on one side or the other. All beings in the universe are divided. The most basic division of living creatures in the universe is did you see emptiness directly or not? And that is the great division, okay, between all sentient beings, all living beings. You either saw emptiness or you didn't see emptiness. And these people are totally different from these people, completely different. And that's why they're called Arya, okay? How does it happen? I mean, we're going to go through today the actual event and see what it feels like, see, you know, what experiences happened to you during that time. And hopefully you get some taste for it. And then hopefully your wife gets killed in a car accident or something. Okay, anyway. Something pushes you to do it, you know. And that's where we talked about, you know, this is samsara. Samsara is defined as the condition that we are in. We are under the control of old karma and old mental afflictions. And the energies that made you get born, and the energies that created your body, and the energies that created your mind, they're fluctuating. They wear out. The energy that's keeping you alive. Did you ever wonder why a car only lasts 20 years, and a house only lasts 50 years, but a human body lasts 70 years, even though it's made of much wimpier stuff? I mean, why? You know, it's karma is keeping it going. You know, the doctors will say, oh, it's the miracle of life, you know. The cells regenerate. Every 7 years, your whole body changes. Why? You know, why? What's driving it? What's the energy behind that? Why does a human body last like that? It's very weird. It's not made of anything very hard. It's karma. Karma is driving the existence of your mind and your body. And that karma, it's like a billiard ball. You know, somebody hit it, and at first it's rolling real nice, and then it's going to start to slow down, and eventually it will stop. All energy is like that. All energy tends towards inertia. The energy that's driving your mind, your health, your body, your possessions, your relationships, the city and country in which you live, the world in which you live, it's all wearing out. The karma is slowing down, and then you'll die, and you'll lose everything. It must happen. That's the condition of samsara. That's the problem with samsara. It is generated or produced by causes which are A, defective, B, wearing out. Okay? And it must get worse. It must degenerate. There's no choice. Okay? You can't make samsara nice. You have to change it. Okay? You can't fix samsara. Okay? You have to get out of it. And this is Buddhahood. You could say nirvana and Buddhahood. And the causes that are driving that, we'll talk about it, but the causes which create it are not like the causes which created our bodies and our possessions and our relationships. You know, I became a Buddhist because all my relationships used to screw up. And really, and it depressed me and it upset me. And I thought, what's wrong with me, you know? And I was very happy to find out it wasn't my fault at all. It's karma, you know? I mean, you can't have a relationship which won't dissolve. You can't have a possession which you won't lose. You can't have a thought or any kind of health which won't degenerate. You know, you can't. It's the nature of the energy behind them. It's, you know, it's preordained that the moment a relationship starts, it will have to end. You know, normally some kind of mental affliction will destroy it. If not, one of them will die. Or sometimes you die together in a car wreck or something. But that's it. That's the only three choices. It has to end. Nirvana is not like that. Buddhahood's not like that. Okay? How do you get from here to there? We talked about the 5 paths. And what I thought I would do, you know, here's path number 1 is here. Path number 2 is about here. This is 3. This is 4. And then 5 is right here. We have to talk about what really happens. I'm not just concentrating on the first three paths, okay? Because the main subject today is what happens during the path of seeing. What happens during that 20 minutes? What happens in the period right after that? You know, what really happens? It's described in scriptures all over the place, in very general terms, and in very almost vague terms, as if it had been passed down for thousands of years and people repeating it, you know. The information's all there, especially, for example, in the Abhidharma. But we have to talk about it. Number 1 is called Path of what? Accumulation. And the books will tell you, you know, that say, the point at which you get to the path of accumulation is when you truly get sick and tired of this life. When you get completely tired of this life. You got renunciation when all day, all night, you're thinking about how to get out of this situation. Okay? But you have to recognize the situation. You know, the books seem to say it's like something very difficult. I don't think intellectually it's difficult. I think every person in this room intellectually understands that their body and their life is going to fall apart. You know, how many people stayed in your apartment that you live in New York? You know, I mean, could you draw a lineage chart of how many people lived, how many bright young business people, healthy, smart, nice, compassionate maybe, lived in the room in which you live? I don't think, you know, you can go back like 3 or 4 renters, and then you run out because it's been like hundreds and hundreds in the same space, have just rented it, lived there, got old, died, rented it, lived there, got old, died, and then it's gone like that, and you're just the next one. And they'll, three renters from now, they won't remember who you are, you know. And it's, I think intellectually you can understand that. It doesn't take any, you can see by observation that you must get old and die. It's a little hard to do anything about it when you're still young and healthy. It's almost impossible. When you start to get middle-aged, it's a little easier to think about it, but then it's too late to do a lot of good meditation because your body's too old. So that the trick is to do it as young as possible, as quickly as possible. Okay. So the text will say, think about it, just observe, be a good Buddhist, you know, meditate on the impermanence of life, meditate on suffering, go through all the sufferings over and over in your life, and you can do that. I think that sets up some kind of well-manured field, you know. I think it sets up like some well-fertilized field in your mind. But I personally believe or have observed that you need some kind of disaster. I don't know if you can do it with intellectuals. Supposedly you can. Theoretically you can. But I think it'll help if you have some great disaster in your life. And it's a terrible thing to say. I mean, I'm joking about it, but somebody close to you has to die. Death has to come very close to you before you take it seriously, you know. And I don't mean on a conscious level. I mean on some kind of subconscious level. You know, death has to come close to you and take somebody close to you. Or something great suffering. You have to be exposed to some great suffering. See some kind of great suffering. See somebody with cancer die slowly or something like that. And be around them and take care of them. And I don't mean on an intellectual basis. I think something happens inside of you. And that puts you on the first path. If you're here in this room, the likelihood is that you either practice this in your past life or you have something happened in this life to get you here. You had some lousy relationship, somebody died, somebody had cancer, something happened and made you sensitive to the suffering that people go through. You know, because the rest of the world is just blindly trying to enjoy an unenjoyable experience, you know. And that's all. So you have to try to get here. It's very important. I don't know if you can do it intellectually. I think we have to try. You know, you can meditate on it. And there's sort of this paradox that you can't really believe it till you get too old to do anything about it. I guess you just have to be very observant and look around you and see. You know, go to a graveyard, you know, and read the tombstones in graveyards or something. I don't know. Or I don't know what to do. I sometimes see pictures of my grandparents, and I know that I'm the last generation that's going to look at them, because after me I don't think anyone could care. And then they throw them out. And that's it. The person's gone. The whole thing is over. You just have to, I don't know how to force someone to do that. It's something you have to do. Every single possession, everything about your personal life, every single relationship you enjoy, it will all die. It will all go away. It will all degenerate. Everything will be gone. And you have to do something now about it. If you're on a bodhisattva track, you know, there's this thing, Master Shantideva in his Bodhisattva Charitara says, get going, you know. It's not fair to other people that you're not moving your rear end. You know, you are making other people suffer as long as you wait. You know, as long as you hesitate, as long as you continue to have some attraction to this life, to things which cannot make you happy. That's the samsaric part. That's the ironic part. They cannot bring you happiness. Impossible. Cannot. As long as you're still trying to squeeze water out of a rock or something, you're not letting yourself down only, you're letting down other people. You could be teaching other people, you could be helping other people. There's lots of raw material in the United States. You know, go to the subway in New York City. There's 30 mind streams, raw material in one car, you know. The raw material's there, and every person you love could be learning from you, but you are waiting, you are hesitating, you are still trying to get something that's not going to happen. So Master Shantideva tries to put this guilt trip on you. Okay, if you're not smart enough to do it for yourself, at least think about the people who depend on you and who you could affect. And everybody knows somebody. You know, everybody has a certain number of people that they could affect directly. As long as you keep behaving like that, trying to get happiness out of something that's impossible to be happy, then you're letting down other people. Okay? So that's the first path. Ideally, you have death comes to you. Death comes very close. You know, death takes some people in your family or something like that. I mean, that would be one of if your mind was already fertile, you know, if you were already thinking about all these things, and then death came and took a few close people, it might push you onto the first path. You have to try to get here. Okay, that is the first path of the 5. Okay, number 2. It's called Jorlam. Say Jorlam. 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 Jor means to prepare. Lam means path. Path of preparation. Preparing for what? You can talk. Seeing emptiness. Okay, getting ready to see emptiness. Here you are piling up lots of things. Okay, Mainly study. Okay, mainly you are studying emptiness. Okay, can you perceive emptiness at that moment?
Yes.
Friend Diane knows the answer.
Intellectually.
Okay, it's interesting. Is what you see emptiness? No. Okay, it's an approximation. Okay, like you can perceive emptiness before you see emptiness directly, but what you're seeing is not really pure emptiness, and you're just thinking of it in some sort of not very clear way. There's this big debate in the scriptures about whether what you see is emptiness or not. So you have to be thinking about emptiness, you have to be studying it. Other conditions have to be there. You must be under the guidance of a shenyan. Shenyan means a spiritual friend, okay? Like a personal guru, personal lama, personal teacher. You must be under the guidance of a shenyan. Okay? Must have a shenyan helping you. And you must be collecting powerful karma. You know, in fact, in the monastery, before they start to study Madhyamika, they normally stop their studies and go off on a long retreat. Rinpoche did I don't know how long it was, 6 months or something, before he started his Madhyamika studies. And he got very sick. It was a big purification, like he almost died. And that's the idea before you're trying to consciously, purposely collect extraordinary amounts of good deeds. And towards very powerful objects. Very powerful objects are, as I said last night, anything to do with the Dharma. You know, taking care of a center, helping print some books, helping people have programs like this, and especially facilitating a teacher, that the teacher can do their thing. You know, that's extremely powerful karma. It doesn't mean that it's not powerful to take care of sick people or to feed the hungry or things like that. Those are very good things and very important things, and you should be doing that too. But if you want the kind of karma that's going to allow you to break through to the most important 20 minutes of all, it has to be something extremely powerful. Okay? And that would be some kind of concentrated activity, concentrated, purposeful activity to keep these things alive in the world. Okay? Just anything you can do to keep this knowledge alive in the world is the most powerful. In fact, the very knowledge that we're talking about today. I mean, anything you could do to contribute to keeping that alive in this planet is the most powerful karma, and you must do karma like that. Okay? You must be. This is also a time for meditation. You must be meditating 1 to 2 hours a day. I tell people that if you want to disqualify yourself from seeing emptiness, if you want to make sure you never see emptiness, then keep putting off your meditation. You know, keep saying, I don't have time this morning. You know, I drove all day yesterday from New York. I talked with my friends till 2 a.m. You know, I just don't have time today. I'll start again tomorrow, you know. Meditation is like so many other things, like jogging and health things and all those things. You have to do it every day. There has to be a continuity. There's some kind of thing about a regular flow that you can't replace with 5 hours on Tuesday. You know, it has to be a daily thing. And in fact, your life will become meditation with normal life spaced in between. You see what I mean? And not normal life with little meditation sessions. It's really like you're in one long meditation session, and going to work is like a small interruption, and then you come back to where you want to be, which is in meditation. So there has to be that flow. You have to be in meditation, in meditation, in meditation, in meditation. And it's almost like you're just picking up from where you left off. And this is what the Lamrim scriptures say. It's the end of the morning session is the beginning of the evening session. Something like that. And the day is just some sort of little interruption caused by your boss, okay? Something like that, all right? But there's a flow, there's a continuity to it. You cannot see emptiness if you don't do that. We'll never see emptiness, okay? And people think of meditation as some kind of obligation or something like that. It's nothing like that at all. It's a life and death thing. It's a race against death. You have so many hours in this life left. You have the ability and the training and the knowledge and the circumstances to see emptiness directly. You got to pull it off now. It's a question of life or death. It's not like some kind of obligation or some kind of threat that you have to do it or something like that. It's your own ass, and you got to do it now. And it just should be a natural self-preservation type of thing, You have to do it. Have to meditate every day, okay? How to meditate, that's a whole another subject. All I'll say about that is that you must do the proper preliminaries. If you don't know what the preliminaries are, and if you're not doing them, it'll be very difficult to meditate properly. Not sure it will work, okay? And then you have to learn what's accurate meditation and what's not meditation, okay? And that's a whole subject on its own. And the ancient scriptures are very clear. This is meditation. This looks like meditation and it's not meditation. This feels like meditation and it's not meditation. And this is meditation, and if you do this, you can see emptiness. You have to be able to get to a level that corresponds to the first form realm, okay? Like there are 3 realms: desire realm, formless realm. We are in the desire realm. You have never seen the other 2 realms. They're just described in the scriptures. There's supposed to be 2 other realms. Mentally, there's a certain kind of meditation you can do, which when you die, you could be born in the form realm. We don't want to do that. Desire realm is best for Dharma practice. Why? It has just the right spice of suffering, okay? You get to one of those higher realms, it's just buzzed out. It's like being on heroin. But you must be able to put your mind into the first level, into the level that would cause you to be born normally in the first form realm. It's called Samden Dambo. There's several levels among the Samden Dambo. You want Nyerdol. There's a specific Nyerdol called Mijongme. And you got to get there. You have to be able to meditate there. You have to learn to meditate at that level. Okay, have to. You probably won't be disciplined enough unless you are forced into it by some kind of disaster, like your best friend dying or something. Okay, it's just some kind of thing about it. Something has to force you into that discipline, or just very good Lamrim study or something like. Hopefully, okay, but very difficult. You must get to path number 1 in order to be ready for path number 2. By the way, you move up. The process of going between paths is always done in meditation. So if you're not in meditation, it'll never happen. If you want to make sure you never progress through the 5 paths, then keep putting off your meditation. Keep finding ways to not do it. Or if you do it, keep finding ways to cut the time down. Like wake up 10 minutes later, waste 20 minutes on the preliminaries because your mind wandered away. And make sure that you really only have like 12 minutes of concentrated meditation. Because then it'll be even better. Because then you'll think that you're doing it and you're not doing it, That's like a really good way to disqualify yourself. I do meditate every morning, And then you meet these people 20 years later and you say, how's it going? They say, I still do it every day, And what happened, And they say, what do you mean, what happened? You say, did you get anywhere? Did anything happen? No, I can sit. My knees hurt a little bit more than they used to, Yeah, but did anything happen, And they said, no, not really, I'm just doing it, But if you're doing it properly, things should change. That's true of all Buddhist practice. Things should change noticeably. Right away, maybe not. But noticeably, over the months, something should change. If it's not changing, then you're not doing it properly. or Buddhism is dumb and wrong. And probably not choice number 2. I mean, no, it's a possibility, but it's unlikely. If your life is not noticeably changing, you're doing it wrong. Okay, just doing it wrong. And don't be one of those people. You know, don't do that. You know, don't be. That's the most pitiful thing. I'd rather meet somebody who never met Buddhism, and hear them kvetch about it, than someone who's been in Buddhism and swears truly that nothing has happened. You know, that's the most pitiful thing, I think. If something's not happening, you're not keeping your vows. You're not meditating frequently. You know, you're not studying well. Something's going wrong. Okay? So that's path number 2 is preparation. Must find a Lama. Must. All the scriptures say highly preferable if they have seen emptiness directly. Okay? If you can find one who has seen emptiness directly, 1,000 times better. Okay? Must find a Lama. Must collect heavy-duty karma. Something to do with the Dharma. And to carry on that knowledge of especially seeing emptiness directly and bodhicitta. You know, if you can contribute to that staying alive in the world, that's the heaviest karma you can collect. Must do those things constantly. Okay? I don't mean like once in a while. And I don't mean in a minor way. You know, you have nothing to lose. You know, your time and your money are worthless to you in your present condition. You can only lose them. You can only waste them. There's no reason. At the end of your life and you look back and you see what you spent your money on, I can tell you, I just went through 15 years of corporate life. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars I made. And now it's over. I'm looking back. Tomorrow's my last Monday. It's my last day. I look back and say, what happened? You know, where's all that stuff? Where's all those hundreds of thousands of dollars? You know, I don't know. And what happened to my body? You know, it got old. You know, and it's meaningless. Okay, you collect heavy duty karma. You have to give of yourself. You know, you have to give up. You can't lose anything. There's nothing else to do with it. You know, if Buddhism is wrong, the worst you did was waste something that you're going to lose anyway. Okay? But it doesn't, it's not wrong. Okay? And don't hesitate. I don't mean to say give up your time or your family or your house or your income in a way that you're not ready to do. Okay? Master Shantideva is very clear about that. He says, start from where you're comfortable. Start at your own comfort level. If it means a flower once in a while, or a piece of fruit once in a while, that's fine. He says, never give so much that you will regret it later, because then you screw up everything. You lost your money, and you also lost the goodness. And it won't help you see emptiness or anything else. You have to be very intelligent about how you invest your money and your time. And I've seen many, many good students burn out. You know, and I warn you about that too, publicly, okay? You have to take care of yourself. You have to sleep enough. You have to eat enough. You know, it doesn't help to burn yourself out for the Dharma, because what happens? You know, you leave. And it happens. I've seen it many times. You have to wisely invest yourself and your resources to collect good karma. But to go over what you can do comfortably is a bad deed, because you're going to burn out, and you'll give it up, and it won't help anybody. You know, I've seen people offer their houses to these lamas, and then like a year later they've quit. They're living in their car. I saw a lady like that, and they're pissed off. You know, oh man, don't be like that. You know, I mean, use your lifetime and your resources sweetly, and to the extent that you can, do it very, very peacefully and happily, and with knowledge, and don't go overboard, because that's a good way to ruin it. Okay. So you're doing that here, to the best of your ability. Okay? Master Shantideva, everyone always says that. To the best of your jitanushin daki shepa cha, to the best of my ability. Okay? Path of preparation. I'm going to describe the last few days before you see emptiness. Okay? And you are starting to have understandings of a particular subject. Okay? And I'm going to cover that, and then we're going to take a break. All right? They say Madhyamika is the key to seeing emptiness, you know. And there's a key within the studies of Madhyamika that helps you see emptiness. Say chi, cheda. Chi, cheda. There's an accepted translation, and then there's the real meaning, as usual. It's the difference between quality and characteristic, and I'll talk about it. When you think of car, you know, think of car. Car. I didn't say a car or the car. I said car. Think of car. Think car. Think car for 1 minute. And car is a picture in your mind, really. When I say car, you get picture. When I say car, you get picture in your mind. And it's very primitive, at least in my mind. You know, it's a side view, you know, and it's just this outline, car. And it's, I don't know, maybe it's like the Rambler my mother had or something, you know. But it's something, that's car. And then I say Ford, or I say Toyota, or I say Honda. Honda car, Toyota car, Camry, whatever. And each time I mention a car, in your mind, you think of this picture with a slight difference, you know, like it has a different design on it, or it has a different shape, slightly different shape. It's this with a slight variation, okay? Car is chi. Car is chi. I call it quality. It is the quality car. It's a very difficult idea, okay? And you have to think about it. Not everything in Dharma I can stand up here and communicate to you verbally. There's a certain amount of commitment or investment you have to make. Thinking. It's called te sam gom sum. You know, I can talk, that's te. Sam means you go home and think about it. And then gom means you meditate on what you realize. But I can't do without sam. I can't communicate to you the importance of car, of quality. You have to go home and think about it. Quality. Think about that guy stood up there in that class. He said, if I want to see emptiness directly, I have to understand why he said car. I must understand what he was trying to get at when he said car. And then there was something about Toyotas and Nissans and all that. And each time he said a different kind of car, it changed. Different kinds of cars are chedat. Okay? All those different characteristics of that quality. All those things which are characteristic of that quality. Okay? Write that down. Things which are characteristic of that quality. Things which are characteristic of that quality. But I want you to really, and it's not going to take a day or two, you have to think for a long time, maybe weeks, about the difference between, when I say things which are characteristic of that quality, you know, a Ford Taurus is the characteristic of the quality car. A Ford Taurus is characteristic of the quality called car. And all the things you need to know to get your ass right up to the edge of seeing emptiness directly is in what I just said. And I can't say more than that. You have to think about it. You know, what goes on when I say car? What goes on in your mind when I say car? And what goes on when I say something that has carness to it? Think of car as carness. Where is carness? What is carness? Who got into all this and who taught this? Dharmakirti. You know, God bless him. Whatever. But, I mean, it's all in Dharmakirti. And, you know, people think it's just some Buddhist logic thing and it's dry, boring stuff. It is not. It's the key to seeing emptiness. It's all there. Why is it that when you look at a car, you see it, you recognize it as car? What's going on in your mind? What's really going on in your mind? How many parts of a car have to be there before you think car? You know, what triggers car in your mind? How do you know a car? How do you know car? You have to think about it. I can't explain more than that. But it's a miracle. You know, why is it that when you look at something you think car? You know, and what is it when you see car? And you have to think about it. This is the intellectual understandings of emptiness that are occurring in the days and hours before you see emptiness directly. These thoughts start popping. You know, these thoughts start getting hot. It's even called hot. You know, the level is called hot. You start getting close. You know, you start obsessing on this thing, you know. By the way, don't go to Bellevue, okay? You start getting hot. You know, you start getting it. You know, things start to happen. You start to realize what he means when he says car. You know, and what's happening in my mind when he says car. And you start to realize the relationship between car and that thing out in the parking lot. You know, the actual thing out there and what I think when he says car. And you've got to meditate on that. You have to go home and think about that. That is the second path. The second path is marked by 4 degrees of understanding of emptiness intellectually. Okay, that is the second path. And understood that you are collecting heavy-duty karma. You must have a heavy load of goodness in you to get there, or it won't happen. It doesn't matter how much you study. If you're a nasty person and you study car all day, nothing will happen. You know, you must be collecting good karma. Okay. And by the way, if you are engaging in some habitual bad deed, even if it's a low-level bad deed, like gossiping about other people or something like that, it'll block you. It's a roadblock. You'll never get past it. You know, if you want to ruin your chances to see emptiness directly, then engage either in some huge bad deed, which is unusual for us, or engage constantly in some minor bad deed that just puts static in your mind to the point that you can't see emptiness. And it will happen. You have to avoid... There's 2 ways to collect the negative energy to prevent yourself karmically from seeing emptiness. One is to do some extraordinary bad deed. You know, talk bad about the Dalai Lama, something like that. Engage in a schism among a Dharma center or something like that. If you want to prevent yourself from seeing emptiness directly, you know, contribute towards that. Try to talk bad about somebody else in the center. Try to create some kind of disharmony in the center. If you really want to, those are heavy duty karmas. Or, if you prefer, you could do a nice little karma on a continual basis and get the same result. You know, continually complain about other people. You know, continually say small bad things. Continually engage in idle talk every chance you get. And that low-level radiation will... You can either get one big dose, or you can get... That's the same in cancer, you know. You either get it from one big shot at Chernobyl, or you could be around close to a cathode ray tube, you know, all day long, and you get the same result. You will not see emptiness. Okay. You have to remove those blocks. Okay. You have to stop those blocks. It's not they're guilty or bad or they're dirty or you're a bad person. It's just a very simple law. It's a physics thing. You won't see it. You won't get there. If you want to get there, you have to stop. Okay. That's path of preparation. Studying. Right here, By the way, in scripture it says that there is only one period in history when every person on this planet is blocked from achieving the path of seeing. You know, there's like a 24-hour period in history of any particular planet when nobody can see emptiness directly for a whole day. What day is that? What kind of vibrations have to be set in motion to prevent even very sweet, holy people in Kansas from seeing emptiness directly on that particular day? It's a schism, okay? It's a schism among the Dharma, among the Sangha, okay? During the 24-hour period, historically, when the Buddha's followers split for 24 hours, it's impossible for anyone on planet Earth to see emptiness during that period. It just sets in motion these bad vibrations. And on a lower level, it happens in any particular place when that kind of thing is going on. You know, so we have to really try to, I think, keeping together is much more important than even being right sometimes. You know, unity is even more important than everyone thinking that what they feel is right happened, you know, or something like that. Just the peace among Dharma brothers and sisters is essential, not just for social reasons, but for life and death reasons. That people won't be able to perceive emptiness directly if there's any kind of vibration like that going on. Okay, say Chöchok. Chöchok. Chö means Dharma. Chok means the highest, supreme. Okay. This means the highest thing that could ever happen to you prior to seeing emptiness directly. It is the nicest, bestest thing in the universe before you get to seeing emptiness directly. It is happening in the hour or two before you see emptiness directly. Okay? Like you get up in the morning. I'll describe a typical one and then we really will take a break. It'll take me about 2 minutes. You get up in the morning. You've been doing, first of all, you got into the hands of a Dharma teacher. You were thrown there because half your family died or something like that. I mean, you got renunciation. Renunciation was taken care of for you by karma. Okay, your mother died, your brother died, something terrible, you know, father, whatever. Something pushed you to wake up. Okay, first requirement. Second requirement, you worked your ass off. Study, meditate, and served your Lama. You know, whatever they need. Build a house, you know, whatever they need. Do it. Give up everything. Do it for them. Then this is Chöchok day, okay? You wake up that morning, you're making tea for your Lama. You go into the kitchen, and you've been studying Chi Jedan, okay? You've been contemplating this thing, you know. How is it that I see car? What is car? What goes on in my mind with car? And you've been working very hard on that. These are all the conditions, like fertilizer and seed and water and sunlight, and all these things are coming together. Then you put this pot on the stove, and you turn on the heat, you know, the fire, and you're standing there and you're looking at the pot and you watch the pots and you're waiting, and then suddenly you enter Chöchok, okay? Chöchok can happen like that. It doesn't have to be in meditation. You're standing there watching the pot, and suddenly you realize that there is nothing outside of your own thoughts, which is pot. There is no pot on the stove. Okay? Suddenly it occurs to you that what you are doing is you are watching a mental image of a pot in your own mind. Okay? Is there anything outside of your own mind there on the stove? Yes. What? Round, white, shiny, and long, black, thin. Okay? There are those things there. Okay? But they are not pot by themselves. They are not pot self-existently. Somebody has to think of them as pot. Okay? And that's you, toi, you know? You are thinking of them as pot. And your mind is synthesizing pot. And all you're really seeing is exactly the same thing you see when I say car. you're not seeing a pot. And then in that moment, in that sweet historical moment, you know, you understand the dependent origination of a pot. You know, you understand that it's a projection based on some parts. Okay, some parts have come together. I'll give you the Madhyamika reasoning. I'll give it to you one time. You will understand it perfectly, and you can junk all those bullshit explanations you ever heard. Okay, is the pot any one of its parts? Is the pot the white? No. First possibility eliminated. The pot is not any one of its parts. Any one of its parts. Okay. Is the pot divorced from its parts? Is the pot completely something other than its parts? No. I mean, you don't put any round, shiny, you don't put tire, radiator, doors, trunk, front, everything else, bumpers. Is car something other than those? You know, is car going to be something other? No. So what do you got so far? Is it any one of its parts? It's not white. It is not whiteness. Otherwise this wall would be pot. Okay. Is it something totally different from all its parts? No, it has to have some relation to its parts. Okay. Now here comes the hard one. Is it all the parts together? I was fooling around with this little girl when she was, I think, 7 or 8 years old in my temple. And I was going to blow her away with Madhyamika, you know. So I said, is the pot its parts? And she said, no. Any one of its parts? No. Is the pot something else than its parts? She said, no. I said, and is it all its parts together? And she said, yes. And I'm like, and that was her. When she was a little girl. And I'm like, oh man, she beat me. You know, and now I ask you the same thing I asked her, but now I know how to beat you. It only took like 15 years. Is it all of its parts together? Now be careful, because I'm asking, is it white, round, shiny, black, thin, long? Can you cook tea in a white, round, shiny, black, thin, long? No, because everybody knows that a white, round, shiny, black, thin, long is a burning mountain over which we must climb. And when we get onto the other side, we'll fall in and burn. Okay? If the parts by themselves, all together, independent of my organizing them into pot, could be pot, then that ant or a roach who's crawling across the stove could have a nice cup of Earl Grey tea from that. Okay? And that's the very difficult. The third one is difficult. Okay? Is the pot the sum of its parts? No. Not until your karma forces you to image it that way. Okay? Not until your karma forces you. So I got you, okay? It took me a while. Okay, she was wrong. And that's the difficult one. By the way, Madhyamika, they give you 3 or 4 choices. By the way, is it none of the above? I mean, could it be anything else? I mean, could it be... These are... I'm not going to go in... The point is that the one about it being any one of its parts is easy. It's not the handle. More correctly, it's not the white. Is it not connected at all to those parts? Obviously not. Because you don't see pots where you don't see any white, round, shiny, black, thin lungs. And is it all the parts together? That's the hard one. And the answer is no, it's not. Because if it was, then every creature in the universe would see it that way, and they don't. So it's apparently something else has to be there. Okay? And those are all the choices. So, final moment. You're standing there looking, and you realize you are not looking at a pot. You are And even physically you can't look at a whole pot, forget it. You can only grasp one or two of the characteristics at a time. You never see the back. What if I told you every pot in the world doesn't have a back? Every time you turn it, the back moves, okay? You know, you can't confirm that, you know. All you're doing is taking a few clues here and there, and then your mind says pot. And you're watching a perfect round pot, but that doesn't exist anywhere except in your mind, okay? And suddenly you're